Breaking! Netanyahu has just publicly slammed Keir Starmer in a live broadcast that sent shock through every major capital. He accused Britain of committing the most reckless diplomatic betrayal in decades, and the hall went silent the moment the words landed. Officials froze, cameras locked in. The confrontation spread across global screens within seconds, turning a routine address into an international crisis. Main part cameras locked in as Netanyahu continued. He revealed that London shifted foreign policy without consulting a single ally. Analysts in Washington, Berlin, and Tokyo confirmed that the move blindsided entire security councils that depend on real-time coordination with the United Kingdom. Producers inside global broadcast networks scrambled to override regular programming. The numbers climbed with speed. 42 million viewers tuned in within the first hour. Commentators called the viewership historic. Nothing since the early 2000s had drawn such attention. The hall observed complete silence. Diplomats described the moment with one phrase, like a political execution carried out with a straight face. Netanyahu spoke with accuracy. He did not raise his voice. He relied on timing, evidence, and the weight of his position. Every sentence builds pressure. Every claim created a new layer of fallout. The confrontation reached audiences far beyond the usual diplomatic watchers. Social platforms surged. Headlines appeared before he finished his opening statement. Then, Netanyahu shifted the focus toward intelligence. He told the world that 38% of the United Kingdom's high-risk terror alerts in the past decade came directly from Israeli intelligence. The percentage created instant reaction. Journalists stared at their screens in disbelief. Commentators with decades of experience in national security called it one of the most important revelations in years. The cooperation between agencies had run deeper than many understood. He followed with another figure. Israel had intercepted over 190 terror plots aimed at British soil between 2014 and 2024. Plans involving airports, shipping ports, finance sectors, public transportation hubs, and diplomatic compounds. Each case represented lives saved, attacks prevented, and networks dismantled. Netanyahu released the number without flourish. He delivered it as a fact that stood without explanation. Viewers around the world reacted with a sense of gravity. The number forced governments to reconsider the true scale of intelligence cooperation between the two nations. He then addressed cybersecurity. Britain's MI5 cyber division relied on Israeli encryption protocols in 72% of its digital threat tracking tools. The statistic displayed a partnership integrated into the core of British national safety. Analysts in the room whispered that the entire system carried an unmistakable Israeli footprint. Several experts later said that removing this network would collapse key parts of the United Kingdom's early warning infrastructure. Netanyahu transitioned into trade and economic ties. His tone remained steady. He told the world that Israel supplied the United Kingdom with £11.7 billion in technological exports between 2018 and 2024. The United Kingdom listed Israel as its fourth largest digital supplier. The number moved markets within minutes. Investors began watching the broadcast with concern. A relationship of that size affects software development, artificial intelligence research, defense programs, and medical systems across the British economy. The focus moved to medical research. British laboratories depended on £620 million annually from Israeli biotech firms through joint patents. These collaborations advanced cancer treatments, antiviral drugs, and emergency response medicine. Netanyahu presented the figure without emphasis. Analysts later said the simplicity made the impact stronger. The broadcast revealed that British medical innovation had relied heavily on Israeli research pipelines for years. Agriculture entered the discussion next. 41% of the United Kingdom's high-yield farms used Israeli drip irrigation and climate technology. This included fruit suppliers, vegetable producers, and greenhouse networks across multiple counties. The hall reacted with quiet shock. Agriculture rarely enters diplomatic speeches, yet this detail showed how deeply the partnership had shaped economic sectors across the United Kingdom. Then, Netanyahu delivered a line that defined the broadcast. He said, "Israel fed British innovation, Britain returned betrayal." The message spread across global networks instantly. Editors placed the line at the top of breaking news alerts. Commentators repeated it throughout the night. The statement captured the entire meaning of the confrontation. Cooperation built over decades stood exposed under one sentence. The atmosphere changed again when Netanyahu reached for a folder marked Confidential United Kingdom Foreign Office. The cameras tightened as he held it up. The hall fell absolutely silent. He claimed the folder contained evidence that London conducted unauthorized contacts with groups listed under international restrictions. Reporters began typing mid-sentence. They recognized that the confrontation had escalated into dangerous diplomatic territory. The broadcast zoomed in on the documents. Viewers could see the digital signatures belonging to United Kingdom government officials. The markings were clear. Analysts called the moment unprecedented, a foreign leader displaying confidential files from another government in a live global broadcast signaled a level of collapse no one expected. Netanyahu explained that the communications showed policy discussions carried out without informing Israel. One memo carried a date only 9 days before Starmer's major announcement. The timeline raised immediate questions inside every diplomatic circle watching. The revelation connected private decisions to public actions that triggered the current crisis. Netanyahu shifted into the core of his message and laid out the scale of the partnership that Britain placed at risk. He told the world that Israel supplied real-time satellite imaging to the United Kingdom for maritime defense since 2012. Those systems protected more than £210 billion in annual shipping that passed through contested waters every year. The revelation set the tone for the next phase of his speech. The intelligence partnership was not symbolic, it was structural. Entire shipping routes remained stable because of the cooperation he described. He presented the data with clinical precision. Naval officers across multiple regions relied on Israeli satellites to track threats around the Red Sea, the Eastern Mediterranean, and the Gulf of Oman. The technology gave the United Kingdom early warnings during tense escalations. The hall absorbed the gravity of that information. Governments watching the broadcast took immediate notes. The message was clear. Israel had shielded British interests across global waters for more than a decade. Netanyahu continued. He pointed toward military coordination. British troops conducted 41 joint exercises with Israel during the past 15 years. The number stood higher than any other partner except the United States. The exercises included counter-terror drills, naval interception operations, urban combat simulations, and cyber warfare rehearsals. Each drill sharpened capabilities that both nations depended on. Viewers watching the speech understood the implication. A partnership built through risk, training, and operational trust had taken decades to develop. He gave the next example without pause. During the cyber grid attacks of 2020, Israel stepped in to assist the United Kingdom as multiple regions faced threats to their energy infrastructure. Analysts later calculated that a blackout could have caused £9 billion in losses across transportation, banking, and health services. Israel's intervention prevented that collapse. Netanyahu presented the fact with steady tone. The hall recognized the message. He was laying out the full ledger of cooperation that preceded Starmer's decision. Then he delivered the line that formed the heart of the confrontation. He said British soldiers stood with Israeli soldiers for decades. He added that the present government turned away from that shared history. The words traveled across networks instantly. Producers placed the line at the top of every alert. Commentators repeated it in urgent tones. The sentence carried the weight of an entire dissolving partnership. Global reaction began within minutes. News networks interrupted programs. CNN, BBC, and Al Arabiya all broke into live coverage within 3 minutes. Anchors described the confrontation as the harshest diplomatic clash between the United Kingdom and Israel in modern history. The broadcast entered a level of crisis reporting usually reserved for major conflicts. Social media platforms filled with rapid clips and analyst reactions. The United States reacted with immediate concern. Defense analysts warned that the United Kingdom's shift could jeopardize £28 billion in NATO technology pipelines. These pipelines connected missile tracking systems, drone integration platforms, satellite networks, and early warning grids. The warning created tremors across intelligence communities, despite several American officials gave early statements expressing deep worry about the stability of the network that linked Washington, London, and Jerusalem. Europe issued its own assessments. Think tanks across Berlin, Brussels, and Warsaw released rapid statements. They accused Starmer of burning alliances faster than he rebuilt them. Early polling showed trust scores with allied governments falling at historic levels. Commentators described it as a collapse in confidence unfolding in real time. Financial markets reacted without hesitation. British defense stocks fell 11.4% in the first hour after Netanyahu's speech. Aerospace firms, cybersecurity contractors, and research companies all saw sudden drops. Investors scrambled to adjust positions. The data signaled a market that recognized the scale of geopolitical disruption. The focus then shifted toward London. Inside Downing Street, the reaction was immediate. Starmer activated the emergency war room within 14 minutes of the broadcast. Advisors arrived with tablets, intelligence briefs, and early polling results. The atmosphere grew tense. Officials used phrases like severe damage, strategic crisis, and diplomatic rupture. Staff members described scenes of rapid movement across corridors as discussions escalated. Leaked messages began circulating soon after. Several senior ministers described the situation as a Category 5 political disaster. Screenshots appeared in newsrooms across the country. The tone inside the messages reflected rising fear among those responsible for foreign policy decisions. Commentators said the leak itself showed the pressure building inside the government. British intelligence sources added another layer. Officials confirmed quietly that unauthorized outreach had taken place in recent weeks. The confirmation contradicted earlier statements from Downing Street. The revelation forced networks to adjust their reporting. Analysts described the confirmation as a pivotal moment that shifted public understanding of the crisis. Polling data delivered the next blow. A YouGov flash poll placed Starmer's approval at 21%. No United Kingdom leader had reached a number that low during an active foreign policy crisis. The figure moved across every platform within minutes. Political strategists called it one of the fastest collapses in approval ever recorded. The broadcast returned to Netanyahu as he prepared to deliver his closing line. He finished with a sentence that became the signature moment of the entire event. He said that while British soldiers fought beside Israeli soldiers, the current government chose to stand beside those who undermine them. The hall reacted with visible shock. Cameras captured each expression in the front rows. The sentence entered the global conversation instantly. The clip reached 60 million views in 8 hours. Analysts called it the fastest spreading political video of the year. The line circulated across international networks, diplomatic channels, and political forums. Commentators said the moment defined the confrontation and would shape how history remembered it. Israel added one more pressure point. Officials announced that additional documents would be released. They did not specify the contents. The statement alone created anxiety inside the United Kingdom's foreign policy ranks. Diplomats described a rising sense of uncertainty. Analysts predicted that the next wave of revelations could deepen the crisis further. The fallout continued to expand. Governments watched with concern. Markets monitored every update. Citizens across the United Kingdom questioned what would follow. Netanyahu's message had moved far beyond a speech. It ignited a diplomatic emergency with no clear endpoint in sight.